and welcome to the session on problem definition. For this session, we want to be able to discuss the difference between a problem in the process output and causes of the problem, which are in the process or in the inputs to the process. And we want to understand that a problem means a deviation of a required attribute in the product. A problem is in the output of a process. Here I have a slide donated to us by Dr. Rainer Hutwelke, Master Black Belt. This is his cookie scenario. And what we can see that in a process, we have various inputs. Like for our cookies, we have, what do we see here? Egg, sugar, flour, salt, butter. And we have various resources that go into a defined sequence of steps. So we have the ingredients going into particular machines, we have to weigh things, we have to mix things, we have to maybe form things, we have to bake things, and we have generally operators that are taking care of these different steps. Now, at the end of our process, we have a burnt cookie. How do you know that this is not meeting your customer expectations? Well, if you're thinking about cookies, probably you want your cookies to be the right color. You want them to be, you don't want them to be green or yellow. You want them to be sort of brown or kind of thick chocolatey, dark brown. You want them to be not burned. You want them to be sweet, don't have a good taste. So different characteristics that you've worked with your canoe model, for example, and you found out what is a priority for customers. And if you're producing mass-produced cookies, then probably you're very interested that all your cookies look exactly the same, that they have exactly the same feel to them, the same taste to them, same qualities to them. So you have your customer expectations for your process. Now, how do we define a problem? There's a lot of this in literature, discussed extensively over the years. And people are looking at what is a problem. And so the debate kind of moves towards it's an undesirable situation. It's a gap between a current state and a desired state. We in our Six Sigma are coming in the defined stage to looking at a problem definition. So if a problem is an undesirable state, we're not meeting the customer expectations, it could be improved in order to exceed the customer expectations. As part of define, we need to define the problem. And here we see again, there's a lot of debate among the scholars. How can you verbally state the problem? How can you write down clearly in your contract what is the problem or the improvement that we want to achieve? And the conclusion is, it depends. The conclusion is that problem definitions can be defined in many different ways, depending on the perspective of the people. So what do you need to take away from here? Problem definition is not trivial. And this is where the Six Sigma framework supports us. For the define part of the project, we need to understand what the customer expectations are, to understand what the problem is, so that we can follow our flow in order to effect a process improvement. Just to show you, here we have our cookie baking process. Now we have all the different inputs to the process. We have the process itself with the resources that are used, and we have our burnt cookie. So here, what's the problem? Could it be that the oven was too hot? Could it be that our timer misfunctioned? And we left our cookies in too long? What could be our problem? Now, you guys, I hope you're all shaking your heads and saying, she doesn't get it. Where's the problem? The problem is in the output of the process. The problem is that the cookie is burnt. These are possible causes of the problem. The causes of the problem are in the process or in the inputs. The problem that we have when we're going into our define page is in the output. Cookies burn. So problems are always attributes of the output of a process, and these can be assigned to different categories. Quality, available, meaning the quantity available or when it's available, and the consumption of resources. So you have a target, you have a maximum and a minimum, and you see if your output is meeting those targets. Is it meeting the characteristics that our customers require in terms of quality? Is it available in the right quantity in the right time? And does it consume the resources in such a way so that our product and service can be created, produced in a competitive manner and not consume too much? So to restate this, and again, this is from Dr. Hutvelke, a problem is in the deviation of a required tribute in the product and output of the resources can be assigned to 3 different categories, and when you look at the output, you can see if these categories are achieved or not.